Good morning, everybody, and thank you for your participation, and to those that are viewing. And give a shout out to our award-winning finance department, CAFO TJ Plant, and Deputy CAFO Lindsay Hacker, Budget Director Melanie Adobe, and the whole crew that keeps the financial ship in order. That allows myself and the rest of the team to do those sexy projects. Again, we're going to try to be efficient, effective, and strategic, and also compassionate. First time in many, many years that we're not looking to entertain cuts. We're looking to keep basic services and quality of life services going with some most likely possible additions that will be strategic and beneficial to the residents and business community of the city of Springfield. And I appreciate everybody's efforts, especially these last 2 years that we've been dealing with coming out of this pandemic. We never shut down city operations or the frontline services on the street or the back office services that had to continue to be done for our residents and the business community. We've been able to keep the highest bond ratings in the city's history. We have a stable and healthy reserve that we have to keep an eye on, just in case the economy goes south with the turmoil that's across the world right now. But everybody's efforts has led us in a good position where we might be able to continue to take the city visionary wise. Again, I thank everybody. I won't go into any more comments. I might have some comments during the budget presentation, but I don't know if TJ has any opening comments, or my chief of staff, Tom Ashton.
Well, this is just the opportunity for the department heads to submit their budget requests to the mayor, and highlights from current fiscal year, last fiscal year, and kind of what the vision and goals are for the upcoming fiscal 23. So it's really your show to kind of explain and have a chance to talk about everything you've done in the past year or two as it relates to your departments.
Tom? All right, we're going to start off first with Office of Procurement. Lauren, do you want to come up here?
A little bit, just we are down one employee in procurement, and there's a possibility to fill those quickly. Okay. We took money out of our out-of-state travel just because all of our NAPO classes and everything have been online this year. We're hoping that's going to go to July. But we needed to take some of that money out because we need a new computers. And monthly is going to increase. Actually, it's 737. There's really nothing else I can cut because.
Well, we were really looking for the cuts will be level funded on personnel. Ideally, obviously, so a couple of positions we have to look at the copy of them. I know we do a tremendous amount of procurement business here in the city with all the constructions we have going on, and on top of the day-to-day stuff that we have to do in the city.
Right, so we're very busy now because of ARPA funds. We were able to get the fiber optic out.
Yeah. That's
going to start quickly. A lot of renovations to the schools, painting, new flooring, trying to get them site visits during last school vacation so that this April vacation, tradesmen can go into the schools and start doing renovations and repairs. We have the new forestry center. With the additional funds, we will be replacing some big DPW vehicles, getting more plows for the city. Our equipment that was needed, wood chippers, trucks there.
You really touch every department because we have to procure, purchase stuff. So basically, you need those two positions filled, and copier type aspects.
And that's
And then you sure.
Yeah, the one that we typically watch is the advertising line item.
Yeah,
Because for five.
Yeah, that's a good point, TJ brought up for the viewing audience. We're statutorily required on advertisers. People say, why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? We have to by law do the advertisements, and they're numerous at times. And we have to get them out to any and all publications, whether hard print, online, etc. So that's law. So we always have to make sure we advertise. Positions. I know a lot of the cabinet heads, department heads are happy that the initial instructions weren't looking at 3 to 5% cuts. Because of the tough decisions we made before, we put us in a better stead, and also making sure we're after all the reimbursement lines also too. But again, we're going to be strategic in our operations. So Lauren, I don't know if TJ or John, there's any questions, but you would just right now, you want to fill those positions and you need a copier.
one position right now.
What?
No, that's all correct, but
Thank you, Lauren. Okay, IT is up next. Bobby. We're gonna miss you, Bobby. You bring any peaches today or what?
I still
Come on up, guys. You're good. Come on, come on. I want to give a thank you to Focus Springfield again. Steve, Carey, Brendan, Josue, you've been a godsend during this pandemic, and to Andy and Bobby and crew, the IT. I know many times during the pandemic we were flying the plane and building it, and a lot of patience had to be had, so we appreciate it. So Andy, why don't you give us an update on some of the highlights and some of the things you might be looking at?
So working with TJ in the finance department, we've pretty much did a complete technology overhaul of day-to-day equipment. So all new PCs. That's going to be a lease now, so it's easier for a budgetary process because now we can spread that over 5 years. There's no speed bumps. Servers is a consequence of that too. So basically, all of the stuff that does all the computing has been changed from the end user all the way upstairs to the data center. So that's been replaced as well. We also have this year we are doing a rollover of our high-speed printer. So that was a godsend during the tornado.
Yes,
It was with the neighbor handbooks in everybody's door. So that we'd like to stay on top of that. Or at least we get more technology, faster speeds for the same amount of money, if not less. So we stay on top of our leases. We are currently down 3 FTEs. We are having a very, very difficult time filling any developer positions. A lot of this has to do with the industry today is complete work from home, work anywhere you want. We've been looking for the best talent. We might have to adjust that a little bit, maybe look closer to somebody, a little more green and bring them up. That's going to be basically the only thing we would be able to fill the need for. As more and more reporting becomes, the upgraded units and so on and so forth, for focus on development.
And has that delta that you mentioned, he's mentioned between salaries for your enabled spend in terms of what the industry is demanding, is that stabilized and strong, that more so?
It's the same. It's pretty much the same. The average programmer or developer at this point in time is getting somewhere between 120 to 140,000 a year. And they can work anywhere. So there's no residency requirements. Mass Mutual, typically people are working from Florida, all over the world. So it's not something that we can do.
From our standpoint, benefits that the city offers, you would hope that kind of something like that.
Something like that.
Still, even with that, the salaries are minimum 20% lower than the outside industry.
Yeah.
That's a big, they get 90,000, they're paying 130, 140, it's more than the developer side, but all the jobs average at least 20, 25% less than anything on the outside.
Now, Andy, I know, just got the update that the fiber study is gonna go out shortly and look at the, pros and cons and the challenges of that too. What can be done, and we better handle TJ and what, because I don't think people realize there is a cost to this.
So we just trying to become a utility project that's being run out of the DPW.
Yeah.
It's got back to flags, big savings and all that stuff. We have the company ready to be,
Yeah.
receiver come in, start doing some analysis. We're on parallel tracks to either install fiber for our own network ourselves or work with the school department
Yeah.
to install the fiber using E-rate to pay for 90% of it. And all we pay for the city is branching off into our building. So that would require it to be a multi-year, 5-year with the chance of renewals for two additional, for 15 years total. And we won't own it, and they'll own it to fix it and everything else. So it's attractive. So the attractive areas where we could have it outsourced and run better, much cheaper, and not have to maintain if the fiber gets cut somehow during the utility.
Yeah. So, Director Doty brought me up to speed that, and I also want to thank City Council Jesse Rodriguez. He's also working with us on it. There's, places come up such as Westfield, should be definitely Westfield. They have their own built-in utility company there. It's been like that for years. So if we're able to pull this off, there is a capital cost to it. The price would be lower, but it would still be a charge, and we try to make sure bringing enough money on it. But I think when TJ said, you'd have somebody that would oversee it, and/or does a city do? But there's, again, the study will entail which direction to go, which direction not to go. So just as an update, that is probably coming to fruition. I appreciate that. It is very attractive to a lot of the millennials, very attractive to a lot of businesses too. So we use it for echo dev and obviously it's at the school with residents and parks, but there is a overall cost. But that's why we're doing the study. See what direction we go, what direction we go. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's the point. Is a lot of cities and towns begin to look from the internet should be a utility. A lot of people believe that. That's not there yet, but the same token, we have a unique ability, profit center, that we can offer services cheaper. So certainly, once that study comes back, we'll have more due diligence and take a look at demographic, who's out there, what the going rates are, what the upfront costs are. There's a lot to this.
So the other thing I had too, which comes up all the time, and you guys do a good job saying, cybersecurity, and I know there's certain things we can't say on how we do it, but maybe a little update on what you can say on trying to protect our systems.
So as a consequence of the increased load through COVID, we work with finance again to kind of change out the technology that protects the city. We went faster, more powerful, upgraded some of the services that we receive. You have to stay diligent with this stuff, and we were able to do a sizable upgrade to that, giving it more power, more speed. People working from home put a lot of pressure on the network, because usually you're working from within the building.
Yeah.
This infrastructure, the building is designed to handle that load, but the external infrastructure is not designed to basically handle remote workers to the degree it was. So we were able to upgrade that and sizable increase in internet speed, performance, and protection.
We're actually working with another company. We got both this morning to add another layer of security that they look at it before any of the traffic hits us. They pick up any phishing, any cyber attacks just as a whole nother layer of security. And it's like, okay, I got the quote today, I thought it was gonna be really expensive, it took 20 grand a year, 27 grand a year, that's out of another layer of protection to the city. They monitor our traffic before it hits us, which I think is huge for that kind of money.
It's always good to have another pair of eyes outside.
You know, any more layers of security, because it's not, to be honest with you, it's not when, if we get attacked, it's when we get attacked. You know, it's all day long. We're getting hit, what, 800 times a day trying to attack us.
That's constant.
But what's going on the world stage now, we have to be
It's
cautious.
getting worse.
Yeah. So I never had those problems on my etch a sketch. So. For 10,000 times. So Andy and Bobby on the upgrades, again, as the chief of staff asked, Tommy brought up, you got to figure out a way on trying to fill those FTEs that makes it competitive. And then, you have the major copier. You continue to do the upgrades and you work with TJ on that. The fiber study will be going out. Cyber, you're on top of. Anything else that we're looking at for down the line? I know we're looking to continue to do more connectivity. We do the cameras. I know we have shots, spotter detectors, and other things. We're hopeful, and I know Director Sidoni and I now forward, if the legislature does pass the red light law, that's something we're going to entertain and see if we can piggyback off that, the erratic driving some of the drivers do. And that would be an upgrade. We have to work with IT on that. What else do you have in?
We were working with the police department on the CAD, which is ideal. We drove out the 2 sites, 900 miles in 1 week. So we went out and took a look at that. So that's kind of a major initiative that's going on as well. So 2 big things is really kind of focusing on the compute infrastructure, making things current, you know, and be able to handle the load that we're going to throw at it. The fiber optic connectivity searching for the cameras and for a lot of the remote connectivity to the sites. That's the most important.
We're also having 26 cameras strategically located throughout the city with the request of the police department.
That's right. And then again, we're looking, I know some of the centers have asked me, the Cloud Concepcion Center, Union Center on fiber connectivity. We are moving toward that. We're some months away from it. And looking to connect parks in those centers there too. So TJ, any questions you have? So Andy, again, you got to try to figure out a way to get those FTEs done, be competitive on salary type aspects, and then major the copier, besides other stuff. Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the hit parade is the Board of Assessors, and I see Jim Fad is there, and Matt, and Jessica.
Good morning, Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, they didn't want to get mileage today, so they're zooming in.
Sure, I can run up if.
No, just that was just.
Okay. Good morning. So as you know, our longtime chair retired last year. So this is the first time the 3 of us are here presenting a budget. And it is also a certification year, which requires additional funding and services for the Board of Assessors. So with it being our first year, we are super excited about bringing our department to sort of modern kind of technology and some efficiencies. So with that said, I would love to talk about some of the budget requests that we have for this year. So we are looking to increase our professional services funding. And with that, we're looking for a couple of new programs and an enhancement and additional funding on some current programs. So the additional program requests would be something called Just Appraise, and that's actually a deed reading software where we can scan the documents into their software. It'll read them and identify any changes that need to be made in our record keeping software. An assessor can review that and hit OK, and it'll automatically upload into IAS. So having that technology, we can actually be current up to essentially the day of a deed being recorded. And it is far more efficient than having somebody in our office sort of read the deed to determine which parcel it is, kind of the grantor, the grantee, the consideration. So this would be extremely helpful for our department going forward. Another system is called CoStar, and that enables us to tap into the local commercial market to determine what current leases are. Most of that information is not public. We do submit income and expense forms to property owners, and the response rate is pretty good, but it's not 100%. And CoStar would not only supplement that information for us, but would also be invaluable for value defense for appellate tax board work. And additionally, another software is called NearMap. And this would enable us to get pictures of every single property in Springfield, which is a requirement of the Department of Revenue. I will say we are a little behind on that schedule now, obviously with COVID. We also had some vacant positions for a little while. Those are now full, but we are pretty far behind on that work. So this would help us tremendously with that. I also do think it would add value to other departments, including building and police and fire departments as well. So I think this would be help the city departments as a whole. Some of the other additional costs increases this year would be personal property valuation, where we are supposed to go to an account once every 5 years and make sure that the information that they're reporting is accurate and we're taxing them appropriately. We are definitely behind on that part. So this amount of spending over the next 5 years will bring us current. Next, of course, is the biggest other increase would be appellate tax board defense work. And as you know, we had some pretty big cases, including the utility matters this year. And there's just a heavy expense with that work, and that does continue. So we would respectfully request those additions for fiscal 23.
And do you forecast, do you see, I know the market has continued to stay, real estate markets continue to stay hot, especially residential. Business and commercial is I won't say status quo, but
yes, the residential market is still extremely hot. And the last, I think, 2 months, the number of houses on the market is less than in prior years past. So it's just kind of crazy what's being sold at this point. As far as commercial and industrial, it looks like the hotels might be coming back a little bit, but we're obviously studying that market, and it is way too early to sort of make any determinations there.
Okay. And I know we continue to let our residents, especially residents, know about the statutory abatements that are available, which they have to apply for every year. I know TJ and I are looking at ways we can try to bring some more continued tax relief to the residents in hopefully the near future. On commercial, again, I don't want to say it stays stagnant, but it was a little more predictable than the residential market, which has just exploded across the nation. And you still, Pat and Matt and Jessica, you still see that trend going on the residential side?
Very much so, yes. Patrick, can you just talk a little bit about your approach this year to overvalue applications that are quite successful?
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So this is the lowest number of abatement applications we've had since I've been on the board. And what an overvalue application is, just in brief, is if somebody can challenge the assessed value. Let's say the assessors have made a mistake in how they describe the property, or the comparable sales are really not comparable. Somebody can file an overvalue application, and those are due by February 1st. This year, for the first time, if somebody called the call center, raising an issue about their taxes or the value of their house, instead of the call center automatically sending out an abatement application, they created a ticket for us. And either Matt, Jessica, or myself, we called every single person who called and wanted to talk about it. Right. It was
That's being proactive. Sometimes people, whether young or old, want to be able to talk to somebody and explain, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, you have an available, you can go this route, or let me explain that you can't unless you show this. And many a times that solves the situation. So that's fantastic. And I commend you, Pat, and Matt, and Jessica, to take the time to call people back on that. That's fantastic.
Thank you. It was really time well spent. It was 20, 30 minutes per person per call. But everyone at least walked away with understanding the process. And at the end of the day, they may not have agreed with the value, but they at least understood from our point of view the process and how we arrived at the value. So it was helpful. It was a great use of time.
So they're covered.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because usually, as you know, 311 would get a phone call many times. My office, or I get a phone call, and you guys are always great. I'd say, Mrs. Smith just called me. I don't know the pros and cons of this. She had some questions on this. Pat, Matt, just could you call her back and let her know what is available to her, or what's the process, what's not available to her. So, but by you three doing that, on your own proactively, that sends a tremendous customer service message out there, and that's deeply appreciated. I don't recall that being done to that stature, that everyone that punched the ticket, you got back to. That's whether good or bad news.
Correct. Yeah, this was the first year we've done that since I've been on the board.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Welcome.
So what, besides those, and I already talked to TJ, those are technology needs that you need, or program needs on that. You're all staffed up now?
We have two positions that are vacant that we hope to post relatively soon, and then we will be back to fully staffed.
And your equipment wise, you seem to be okay besides the program stuff that you indicated there.
I'm sorry, what was the beginning of that?
The equipment or OTPS, you seem to be okay besides the program, the programs that you're looking to.
Yeah, there was one other, a small request on like a folder. We need to look into the details of that a little more because, we send out a couple of mailings per year, and it would be nice if we had an automatic sort of folding machine and envelope stuffing machine. But we're going to explore those a little more as well.
When you said folder, I thought you were talking about manila folders. You could be all you Okay, so you said an envelope machine?
Yeah.
Okay, so
It could be used like that.
that's right, exactly. Okay.
You've already reached out to us, and we're getting a price for it now.
TJ or Tommy?
No. Patrick, Matt, Jessica, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Been good word in edgewise with you, Matt and Jessica, All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Pat Burns, they're in training, so we're gonna do that. I think we're doing that sometime next week. Now move to Treasurer Collectors Department with Treasurer Chris Caputo. Chris, you cutting any checks or what?
We cut checks every week, every payroll check and the vendor checks.
What line should we get into then? That was a joke. Okay, Chris, you're up.
So both my budgets, for lack of a better term, are a little boring for this year. They're completely level service. I'm not asking for anything additional. I'm keeping my staffing the same. Right now, I have 2 vacancies on the treasurer side, 1 vacancy in the collector side due to a recent promotion. I'm looking to hopefully post 2 of those relatively soon. Based on what I get for quality of applications, will determine whether or not I post the 3rd position. I've already posted it once, and the applications were less than stellar due to the toughness of the job market. A couple of departmental highlights. The collectors department never closed during COVID at all. We were constantly open to the public. We made sure we were available to take payments. We were constantly sending out emails telling people how to pay online if they did not want to come into the city. We actually developed QR codes with links to both our payment systems as well as the abatement application for the assessors so that people could just scan their phone. We have them by all the entrances in City Hall so that people can just scan it with their phone and either pay or request an abatement online. We did our fiscal 19 tax taking. It was the smallest in 18 years. It was just under 160 parcels that were leaned. Part of that is due to the competitiveness of the real estate market. Our payment requests for delinquent properties are extremely high due to sales as well. On average, my department's churning out between 12 and 20 payment requests a week, as well as payoffs. Most of those are fulfilled. I would say probably about 70% are payoffs and are paid within the required 2 weeks before they expire. We are looking to potentially do the fiscal 2020 taking in May, depending upon how many parcels and what we're looking at for a price. If not, we'll just do it in the beginning of fiscal 23. There will be one point where I do have to do 2 takings at once. I'm hoping to do it this fiscal. If not, I will look to potentially do it next fiscal.
Chris, I wanted to commend you and your department. Again, when you say the smallest tax taking, it's because we've really stayed on top. We've improved our collecting taxes on time tremendously. I mean, the percentages, I believe, in the high 90s. And I also wanted to, we also work with people. We constantly send me up tax payment plans where we help people stay in their homes, and they make a certain percentage payment, then they work out a payment plan. And on the pandemic, I have to say, and I want to thank you and facilities management team with Pat Sullivan and our internal guys, Al and crew, that we never did shut down. And when things really got to a boiling point, we redid the windows on the first floor level there, so people could literally walk right up to the windows, walk right up to the windows and put their payment right through a slot there, and no contact at all, and get back the payment on it. And we also had tenting there. So, we thought outside the box during the height of the pandemic, and I appreciate that.
Chris, just one question about investment in local banks. You just comment a little bit on how we're kind of trying to target local banks to put some of our money into those.
Yep. So our 3 biggest banks where we have the most money are People's Bank out of Holyoke, People's United Bank, which currently has our contract for our vendor and payroll accounts, and then Adams Community Bank is the next largest position for the city. They're out of Adams, Mass. I would like to say we are the biggest client for the only Springfield headquartered bank, New Valley. Unfortunately, due to their size, we can't do much business with them, but we do have an account. We are their largest client. We do business with Munson Savings, East Hampton Savings, Florence Savings Bank, varying degree of investment. Trying to think anybody else local.
No, some of the names you brought up have been very good corporate citizens too, and giving back to the city for initiatives or donations or grants to whether it's seniors, youth, veterans, so that's good. And especially with the new valley, which is new, and it's Springfield, completely Springfield based. So, yeah, we'd like to continue to try to keep our money local because it'll multiply. So commend you on that. That's a good point you brought up, TJ. So, Chris, all you need, Tommy, Chris, you're trying to fill those 2 or 3 positions. Other than that, OTPS type stuff, you seem to be okay.
Yeah, land court is chugging along extremely slowly.
Yeah,
So I will probably have a turn back this year. Eventually, land court will have to catch up. I have no idea when that's going to be. I'm hoping it'll be soon so that I can start prepare and plan for it. But it's unfortunately with some of my OTPS, I'm at the mercy of land court, and you ask to get a different answer every day as to when they're going to catch up.
Treasurer Caputo, we know even before pandemic, with all due respect, the land court moved at glacier pace. So, now dealing with the challenges of a pandemic, but so those adjustments that we can look at to be made. I don't know, TJ, Tom, any other questions?
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I think that concludes this morning's session, and we're back this afternoon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.